Hello, and thank you for being curious enough to follow this link. The main idea behind these videos is to help the parents or guardians of students who are following the AQA A Level Law specification to understand what exactly is being studied and how is it being assessed. You may have already asked your son or daughter this already, but got nothing more than a vague answer, if you were lucky. These introductions then, although primarily designed for parents, are okay for students of the subject. If you are here as a student, I hope some of your questions are answered, but remember, this is just my interpretation. This isn't designed as a replacement for what you're being taught, or a quick fix if you've missed lessons. If you're a fellow teacher of AQA Law and resource hunting, feel free to use this. Even better, offer corrections or suggestions if I've got things wildly wrong. But as Woody says to Sid in Toy Story, play nice. Okay, let's move on. So first things first, just like any other examined subject, I would imagine, the Raw A-Level has a body of knowledge selected from the huge everything that ever could be known about law collection that your son or daughter is expected to A, remember, and B, more importantly, understand. Once the content is remembered and understood, great, that's 40% of the job done. Secondly, what good is knowing things if you're not able to apply that knowledge? So a substantial part of the law qualification assesses how that knowledge could or would be applied to a particular hypothetical situation or scenario. So if your son or daughter can do that, great, that's another 27% of the work done. But what good is knowledge and the ability to apply that knowledge if you can't communicate it to someone else so that they can benefit or learn from it, or in the examiner's case, mark it? Finally, nothing man-made is ever perfect, or woman-made. So, there are perceived problems or failings within the law as it stands, and reforms could help perfect it. So these need evaluating and discussing. So that's the final 33% of the jigsaw. Essentially, this is how most, if not all A-level subjects are structured, whether they're being assessed through written work or practical work. It boils down to knowledge, application, and evaluation. In law, and most other A-levels, marks are awarded for being able to do these things on an ability scale, with band 1 marks effectively saying, you can't do this very well, and at the other end, up to bands 3 and 5, it says, you understand this and can do it really well. I'll deal with the band descriptors in future videos. So there are 3 assessment objectives in law, and the objectives carry different marks depending on the questions asked. AO1 asks students to demonstrate knowledge and understanding of the English legal system and the legal rules and principles. AO2 is looking for application of those legal rules to the given scenarios and for students to present a logical legal argument using the right terminology. And the third assessment objective is to analyse and evaluate the legal rules, principles and concepts and issues. These 3 assessment objectives are tested across all 3 papers, each of which is 2 hours in duration and carries 100 marks each paper. So the topics covered in A-Level Law fall into this: nature of law, the English legal system, criminal law, tort law, and human rights law. Feel free to pause at this point if you want to have time to read these things. Okay, the exam structure is pretty similar across all 3 papers. The format is basically the same, but obviously the content differs. So in this table, I've identified what the question number is, what type of response is required, how many marks are available, and roughly how much time should be spent on each answer. Obviously, the best thing to do for some students is to tackle the bigger questions, the ones that were 30 marks each, first. That way they know they've done full answers to these. Okay, in the next video, I'll look at paper 1 criminal law and go into a bit more detail about the topics that are going to be covered on that paper and what knowledge students acquire and how they're meant to use this. In the meantime, I hope this has been helpful. Please feel free to leave positive feedback or constructive criticism below. And to get the latest guides as they're produced, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for listening.